Out of every 10 crimes committed against journalists worldwide go unprosecuted. This is according to speakers at a conference to mark the International Day to End Impunity for Crimes Against Journalists. The stakeholders from the 7 Eastern African countries represented in the conference now want their respective governments to adopt the recommendations that will be formulated after this 2-day conference in Nairobi to ensure safety of journalists. Mule with more.
Stakeholders in the media fraternity from 7 countries in Eastern Africa came together in a multi-sectoral conference hosted by Kenya in a bid to formulate guidelines for protection of journalists in the region. A report by UNESCO indicates that 930 journalists have been killed in the line of duty in the last 11 years. That means on average 1 journalist is murdered every 4 days globally, and worse still, majority of the offenders go scot-free.
UNESCO's assessment indicates that currently in 9 out of 10 cases, the killers go unpunished.
The government of Kenya has promised to implement the recommendations that will emanate from this conference to ensure safety of journalists at all times.
Just about April, when the political party primaries were about to start, up to the fresh presidential election 26th, we had recorded nearly 20 cases of journalists who have been harassed, intimidated, many times beaten up, and the equipment confiscated.
And I would say it's been a trying time for both government and media, and particularly when there's been cases of maybe demonstrations and it's violence, and the police are trying to protect media, and media are saying that their freedom is being curtailed. And when the police don't protect, they're saying they're not being protected. It's important we come together and agree on, how far should the state go and how, in terms of providing the safety.
Stakeholders from the region shared the challenges journalists go through in their work.
Now in Tanzania nowadays we have something called orders from the above. You are arrested by a police officer and he's saying, I have received the orders from the above.
In a country where there is war, some people want to, of course, also use these chances to say something that sometimes are not true, and then you are kind of trying to take it up.
The International Day to End Impunity for Crimes Against Journalists was proclaimed by United Nations General Assembly in 2013. It is an occasion to honor journalists who have died in the line of duty, as well as a day to reinforce global efforts to put an end to impunity for crimes against journalists. It is usually commemorated on the 2nd of November, but was postponed to today due to the long electioneering period in Kenya. Journalists have also been called upon to observe the Journalists' Code of Conduct and Responsible Journalism as they carry out their duties. Mule, NTV.